The new year is a great time to reflect on the year prior, think about the year moving forward, and set some goals, whether that be financial, personal, or in this case, eco-friendly goals for the new year. Today, let's jump into these 23 eco-friendly New Year's resolutions for the new year to make your personal life a little less wasteful. A few caveats before we begin. You do not have to implement all of these. In fact, you don't have to implement any of them. These are just some ideas to get the ball rolling for you if you're thinking about setting some low waste New Year's resolutions. Second, yes, I do know that the top 100 companies are to blame for climate change, not you and me, but that doesn't mean that our impact doesn't matter. And third, if you prefer reading or you're deaf, there is a blog post linked down below that you can read along with instead. Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste for everybody. My mission here is to make zero waste living accessible for everyone. I don't think you have to be of a certain socioeconomic status, a certain race, a certain gender. I think everybody can live low waste in some capacity. But before we get into it, I need to run a few errands, and we're gonna do that by using one of my personal New Year's resolutions, and that is to reduce my reliance on my car. Thankfully, I live really close to a lot of the stores that I frequent, so we're going to be walking to a hardware store to get some light bulbs, and we're going to be walking to my local grocery store to get a kombucha because my belly's still a little upset from COVID, and maybe some festive coffee creamer. But the first step is going to be bundling up because it is super cold right now. Okay, I'm back. I got my kombucha, I got my light bulbs replaced, and we're ready to go. So reducing your reliance on cars is just one example of an eco-friendly New Year's resolution. Let's jump into the other 23. The first eco-friendly New Year's resolution idea is to learn to mend something new, or just learn to mend something, period, if you've never mended something before. But for example, I already know how to sew and fix my socks and my pants, so I might focus on mending something more like furniture. I might learn reupholstery. I might learn woodworking so that I can fix furniture. But regardless, I encourage you to learn to mend something or just start mending this year. And when something breaks, instead of thinking, oh no, it's garbage, think, how can I fix this? If you can't fix it, find someone who can, a friend, a family member, or you could probably even hire somebody in your local area. Second, as we already talked about a little bit with my personal little adventure this morning, is to reduce your reliance on fossil fuels. But you can do this without giving up your car. My walk this morning was probably close to 1.5 miles, which isn't accessible for a lot of people. It does take a lot of time and a lot of energy. So if you can walk, you can bike, great, do that. But if you can't, don't worry. I also can't give up my car that often. I have a full video right up here with 10 ways that you can reduce your reliance on fossil fuels without giving up your car. Things like switching your energy provider, switching your bank, stop using so much plastic, and so forth. And I'm going to be making a part 2 in the new year with 10 more ways to reduce your reliance on fossil fuels, so be sure to hit the subscribe button. Just know that you can still be an environmentalist and still drive a car and still reduce your reliance on fossil fuels all at the same time. Number 3, we're gonna go back to something I just said, and that is to switch your bank. I don't care if your goal is to not reduce your reliance on fossil fuels. I encourage every single one of you to switch your bank because it's super easy and it has a huge impact. Now, if your bank is already relatively eco-friendly, you don't have to bother with switching. But if you're like, wait, banks aren't eco-friendly, what does that mean? I'll leave some sources down below for you. But in short, a lot of big banks like Chase, for example, will invest your money into fossil fuels and other wasteful practices. So you're investing your money in your bank so that they can keep it and hold on to it and keep it safe and grow some interest and whatever. But banks are for profit, so they have to make money somehow. So in order to do that, they need to invest your hard-earned money into these wasteful yet profitable practices. So unfortunately, fossil fuels, coal, It's all really profitable. Again, check out the sources down below, and if you want me to make a full video diving into this, what makes bakes non-eco-friendly, what makes bakes eco-friendly, and so forth, let me know. But of course, double check and switch if you have the capability to do so. Number 4, another one we briefly touched on, is to switch your energy provider. Again, this is something that is pretty simple to do and typically doesn't cost you any more money, especially as renewables become more effective. But this is something super simple that we can do that has a big impact on our personal carbon footprint. If anything, I encourage you to at least look into it this year. Think about it, maybe implement it in the future, but consider it. It's not always more affordable, and in fact, sometimes it's not even available. I grew up in rural Ohio where we only had one energy provider to pick from, and it was fossil fuels. But here in Las Vegas, we actually just got an offer a few months ago being like, hey, here's a little incentive to switch to solar energy if you qualify. And we didn't qualify. I don't remember why. It might be because we're renting, it might be because we're not residents, I don't really know, but we didn't qualify. So that's kind of the caveat here. Not everyone can, because it's still like quite gray and nuanced, but I encourage you to at least look into it this year. Number 5 is to learn how to make something new from scratch. There is a whole array of things that you can learn to make from scratch, one of them being kombucha. Long story short, I killed my kombucha culture, so that's why I've been buying it in bottles, and I don't have time to restart my culture before I move. But that was something I learned maybe in 2020, and then I think a lot of us learned a lot of new skills in 2020 when we were bored. But over the course of the last few years, I've learned to make things like my own butter, mayonnaise, bread, tortillas, brownies, pancakes, so many things. Kombucha, ginger ale, like you name it, I might have tried it. I still make a lot of it from scratch myself. My favorites being tortillas, rolls, brownies, and peanut butter. Peanut butter is so easy. I have a video linked above and below for you. Of course, a lot of this does take a lot of time. My rolls take like 5 hours, and nobody has time for that. I mean, some people might. I, in fact, don't even have time. That's like a holiday special that I make, but a lot of it's really simple. My peanut butter takes probably less than 10 minutes. Tortillas, maybe an extra 10 to 20 minutes on the nights where we're eating them. But a lot of this stuff does come packaged in plastic, so this can help you reduce your own personal physical waste. But even something as simple as making your own coffee and tea at home instead of getting a to-go cup from Starbucks every day. Now, if you're like me and you're just not really good at making coffee at home and you still want to get it out, bring your own cup. But for now, I encourage you to think about something in your life that you buy a lot of and seeing if you can make it from scratch. Number 6 is to start composting. And if you're like, I live in an apartment, I do this, I do this, I do this. Believe me, you can compost. Everybody can compost in their own way. There's no one size fits all for composting. I have a few videos on it and I want to make more this year about composting. Maybe if we have a house sometime this year. But here are a few options. Even if you're renting and you have a yard, you can compost. You can get a compost bin, something that can be removed when you move out, so that way the homeowners don't have a mess in their yard. If you own the house, just start a compost pile in your yard. You don't even need a bin. Like literally just start a compost pile. It's that simple. There's so many resources online. Now, if you live in an apartment or you're renting somewhere that you can't even put a compost bin down, you still have a few options. First, check your city. Your city might offer compost pickup. Granted, it might cost a little bit of money, but if you have the ability to do so, I encourage you to look into it. Or you can look into apps / websites like Share Waste. I will leave it linked down below. And apps like this help you to find someone who composts in your area. So I could get on there and be like, hey, I'm accepting compost. And people around me can be like, hey, I'm gonna bring you my compost and we can add it to my pile. Other option, this is not a budget-friendly option, so do with this what you will. And that is to get a Loamy countertop composter. But this is a great option if you are in an apartment because it's not very big. It makes compost in under 24 hours that you can then use to like put in your plants. All that to say, I would really encourage you to start composting this year because composting is one of the best things that we can do as individuals for climate change. Number 7, I encourage you to support local farmers this year. Check out your local farmers market. I guarantee you have one. When I first heard that I was moving to Las Vegas, I'd never seen Las Vegas before. I'd never been. So I just thought it was all concrete jungle. Turns out there are 2 farms like less than 2 miles from my house. So we bike there every now and then. It can be as simple as doing a Google Maps search for orchard near me, farmer's market near me. I have some farmer's markets near me too. And taking the time to go to them instead of just staying in that routine of going to your grocery store every week. And I know that's really hard to break, but I encourage you to do that this year, even if it is just like once a month, once every now and then. You could also use apps and sites like Farmish. Again, the link will be down below and in the blog post. And this can be an easy way to find local farmers, gardeners near you instead of like big farmers markets, and support like really small operations, people who sell their own eggs, honey, vegetables, and so forth. Number 8 is to start writing to wasteful brands and also some zero waste brands that are doing some wasteful things. I have 2 examples that I will leave linked down below that I just created, and those are just some examples of ways that you can write to brands this year. You could also write to big brands like Coca-Cola and be like, hey, it's not really cool that you've been the #1 polluter for 5 years in a row and you're doing nothing about it. Or you could also take this to write to your politicians, asking them to support climate legislation. I really encourage you, check out Jessica Craven on TikTok, her blog, Chop Wood, Carry Water. I will leave that link down below as well. She makes it super easy to be an activist. So let's work on our activism this year together. Number 9 is to go meatless. No, I'm not asking anybody to go vegan or vegetarian. Please don't click away. You do not need to be vegan to be an environmentalist. That being said, meat is one of the most wasteful things that we consume as individuals. So go vegan or vegetarian if you want to. If that's your personal New Year's resolution, go for it. But what I'm asking, like the everyday person, is to reduce their reliance on meat. Especially with the amount of vegan swaps there are these days, like it's really easy to find vegan yogurt and vegan milk, vegan meats, and in fact, you don't even need vegan meats. You can just replace them with things like tofu, beans, and lentils. Anyway, animal products, including dairy and eggs, are one of the most wasteful systems we have due to factory farming, of course. Now, if you want to learn more about why reducing your meat intake and animal product intake is good for the planet, you can check out this video up here for a full breakdown. We don't have time to get into it today. But some ideas to get you going is you can try meatless Mondays, or you can stick to one meal. Like I said, making breakfast vegan or vegetarian is really simple. So you can start by making all of your breakfast meat-free and see how that goes. Number 10, we're bringing it back to fossil fuels. I'm now asking you to drive less. Again, it's not possible for everybody, but it's more practical than you think. If you are able-bodied and you can walk or bike to your grocery store or anywhere else that's close to you, I encourage you to do so. But it could also be something as simple as asking your coworkers to carpool, asking people you go to school with to carpool. And again, this isn't possible. People have different schedules, people have appointments, people have children that they have to drop off at school, etc. If you don't have kids and you're single and another one of your coworkers is single and you live near each other and you work in the same place, why are you both driving? Just ask if you can carpool. Of course, this reduces your own personal carbon footprint and emissions, but this can also save you so much money. If you want to save some money and save the planet, consider carpooling this year. Number 11 is to try a no-buy challenge. Of course, you buy things like your bills, your food, your clothes if you need them, medication, etc. But what this means is to don't buy anything that you don't need. So when you want to impulse buy new clothing or the latest tech or the latest trending item, don't. You can do this for a week, for a month, for a year. I know some people who do this for a whole year, and this can teach you a lot about yourself and our wasteful culture. And it also really makes you think about the things that you need. Like, oh, do I actually need a new shirt, or can I just mix and match my outfits with something I already have? This is another great way to save money and save the planet at the same time. And if you do this for a certain amount of days, it will eventually become a habit and will help you to become a less impulsive shopper in the long run. So if impulse shopping is something that's really big for you, I encourage you to try a no-buy challenge this year, or at least think before you shop. Similar to that, number 12 is to try buying more secondhand this year. Or you can even challenge yourself to only buy secondhand this year. Of course, it's easier said than done, but I'm living proof that you can do it. I will leave the video that I made last summer. Oh my gosh, in 2021. So that video is almost 2 years old already, which is wild. How I furnished my entire home in Las Vegas secondhand after I moved from Japan. We used sites like Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp mostly, and then we did go to Savers and Goodwill as well. But buying secondhand is significantly better for the environment, and it keeps stuff out of the landfill. Number 13 is to try a declutter challenge. I just did one in December it was like a Christmas declutter. My friend Rebecca started it as like a little advent thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm moving in a few months. I need to declutter and I've been putting it off. Thank you for inspiring me. And doing a declutter challenge like this makes it so much more feasible to tackle the decluttering, because when I was thinking like I need to declutter my entire house because I'm moving into an RV, it was so daunting and I didn't want to do it. But when I started thinking like, oh, I just have to declutter a handful of things every single day for like a couple weeks straight, and then my house will be done. It makes it so much more easy to accomplish. And of course, with this one goes, think before you throw away. Don't just take all of your items and throw them in the landfill. Try to donate, sell, give them away on like your Buy Nothing group, homeless shelters, animal shelters, women's shelters, but think before you throw away. Number 14, get educated this year. Whether that be read more environmental books, watch more environmental documentaries, follow some more environmentalists on social media to learn from, learn more about the climate crisis, or whatever aspect of zero waste living you're interested in. It could even be as simple as doing your own research yourself on Google. You could set your goal to learn one new topic per week, one new topic per month. Last year, my personal goal was to read 12 books, and I alternated between nonfiction and fiction. You can still learn stuff from fiction books, but I was really focusing on reading at least half of those books being climate-related nonfiction books. Number 15, this one is for the newbies. Are you brand new to zero waste or low waste and you don't know where to start? Of course, you can subscribe and watch all of my videos, but I encourage you to make one new zero waste swap or habit change per month, or even per week if you're like really determined to get a lot done. So it could be something as simple as, this week, I'm gonna start with using a reusable water bottle instead of disposables. Next week, I'm going to try conserving less water. I'm going to turn off the water when I brush my teeth. I'm going to reuse the water that I use to heat up my shower and water my plants. Week 3, I'm gonna focus on making sure that I remember my coffee cup when I go to Starbucks. Another one of my goals that I have for this platform is to create a zero waste in a year calendar that's full of zero waste habit and swap changes that you can make every single day, because in fact, I have a full playlist now of 250 plus ways you can live zero waste completely for free. No swaps, no money involved. You can check out the full playlist up here and then each individual video down below. So that's already a majority of the year. If you want to take those and just run with it and implement one of those every single day, make a swap, learn about it, learn how to use it properly, and then move on to the next one instead of trying to change your whole life at once. Number 16 is to inspire others. This can look like talking about reusable water bottles to your coworkers, talking about recycling to your coworkers. This is just stuff that I do at work. Encouraging your siblings, your parents, your cousins, your friends, your neighbors. If you've been thinking about making environmental content and educating others, this as your sign. Start that YouTube channel, start that TikTok, whatever sort of platform you want, and educate and inspire others. You could start a community in your area. You could start a community garden. You could start a Facebook community. For example, I don't think there's a Zero Waste Las Vegas like Facebook group, so that's something that I could start, or if you're in Las Vegas, you could start it because I'm leaving Las Vegas. Number 17 is to stop wishcycling. I should have put this at number 1 because recycling is truly my passion. It's what got me into zero waste. And recycling incorrectly is one of the huge things that is making our recycling systems, especially in the US, so invaluable and impractical. Wishcycling is putting anything in your recycling bin in the hopes that it will be recycled without actually knowing if it will be recycled. And I think a lot of it stems from personal guilt. I know I used to do this before I knew recycling rules, like, oh, I'm just gonna put this in my recycling bin because I don't want it to end up in the landfill. I don't want to be responsible for the landfills filling up. But unfortunately, wishcycling creates more of a problem. It is, in fact, probably going to make your entire bin end up in the landfill. So I have a full recycling playlist I will leave linked up here and down below, full of things like things you should recycle, things you should not recycle, recycling do's and don'ts, why we need to be recycling correctly, and so forth. And I also have a full video on wishcycling, what it is, how to avoid it. You can check that out above and below as well. Number 18 is to just get out there and pick up some trash. This is completely free. If you're already like getting outside, then it doesn't take you any extra time either. For me, like I said, I walk my dog every single day, twice a day. If I just bring a trash bag with me, it doesn't take me any extra time. It might take like a little bit extra effort. It's also completely free. I'm helping clean up my neighborhood and keep this all out of habitats of the local wildlife. And the same thing, like if you take your kids on a walk, if you take your kids to the park. This is also a great way to inspire your children and like also other families you see. But you could also take this up a notch, make it big scale, organize a beach cleanup, a city cleanup, a park cleanup in your area. Similar to that, number 19 is to start or organize a community event. Or like I mentioned earlier, start your neighborhood's first zero waste group. Like I said, my mom started a club at her school. If you're a student, you could start a club at your school. You could start your city's local zero waste page on Facebook or Instagram. You could host a clothing swap. You could host a beach cleanup or a park cleanup. You could host like a clothing drive, somewhere where you encourage your neighbors, your coworkers to declutter and donate the stuff to you so that you can donate it to a thrift store, a homeless shelter, etc. There are so many options for events and organizations in your area that you can use to inspire you or that you can create yourself. Number 20, similarly, is to donate your time or money to the environment. This really just goes either way. If you have the money but you don't have the time, consider donating some money this year. If you don't have the money but you do have a little bit of time to spare, donate your time to the environment. It could just be as simple as like looking up trash cleanup Las Vegas, trail cleanup Las Vegas, trail maintenance Las Vegas, if you want to like actually help restore habitats by doing trail maintenance and habitat restoration. If you're more interested in donating money, I do have a list of charities on my website. I will leave link down below if you want to check those out. Number 21, get a library card. I know I said not everyone has to do all of these, but I think every single person should have a library card. They are completely free. But here's the thing. You don't even have to get a library card and go to your library every time you want to read a book. Most libraries these days offer free ebooks that you can download to your phone through apps like Libby, Hoopla. There are so many apps out there. Not just that, library cards also offer things like cookbooks, games. Some even have computer rooms if you don't have a computer and you need a computer to get work done or apply for a job or something. Libraries are so valuable and they're like one of the hidden gems in our capitalist society that still offer free services for people. So take advantage, because if we quit using libraries, the government's going to quit funding them. I encourage you to go get your library card just to show our society that libraries are valuable and people want to use them. Number 22, make a plan for your food waste. This can be either pre-buying your food or post-buying your food. This can look like meal planning so that you don't buy extra ingredients. This looks like storing your food properly so that it doesn't go bad too quickly before you get around to it. And afterwards, it looks like composting, bringing it back all the way to the beginning. Food waste is one of the leading polluters in the world. In fact, I think it's like number 5. Like if it were a country, it would be the 5th most polluting country in the world, something like that. So any effort that we can take to reduce our food waste, the better. And number 23 is to just simply get outside. You don't have to go on like this big excursion, a big hike, drive all the way to a national park to do this. This looks like sitting on your porch or your back patio for 10 minutes a day. This looks like taking your kids to the park or taking your dog on a walk or just taking yourself on a walk around the block. Even in a city, even in the concrete jungle, getting outside is simply just walking outside of your door. Now, why is this an eco resolution? Because for me personally, connecting with the earth is just a great reminder as to why I want to preserve this earth for future generations. As well as it's just so much better for our mental health, and the better that we take care of ourselves, the better that we can take care of the planet. Thank you so much for watching along. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you found some inspiration in this video and now have some low waste eco resolutions that you can set this year. Let me know which ones you're going to implement down below. And if I didn't mention one that you're going to implement this year, especially let me know, because I would love to hear your ideas as well. That's all that I have for today. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Again, let me know your eco resolutions down below. Let's hold each other accountable, but also inspire each other this year. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I'll be sharing more about how I'm implementing these this year. And if you found any value in this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you think anybody in your life would find value in this video, I would appreciate you share it with them, because the more of us that implement eco-friendly resolutions and goals throughout the year, not just in January, the better our world can become. So thanks again, and until next time, remember that your small actions have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. It's not always more affordable, and it's not always more affordable. There's so many resources online. I feel a hair. Number 10 makes it super simple, as well as a lot of these oh my gosh.